So, once again, guys, my name is Briant Campbell, and today we are going to be discussing how to integrate MetaMask into your web applications. So, as Max stated, this is really the foundational skill, the foundational step here before you do anything else. And a little bit about myself. I am a software developer. I've been doing this for about 8 years now. I'm self-taught, and I've learned from a lot of really experienced people. I've been really blessed to be able to just be in friendly work environments where I can just kind of learn through osmosis by other people who have been traditionally trained. And I think that's really important. That's something that's helped me to kind of grow in my skill set. And even in terms of like the soft skills and all of that. Um, but yeah, so we're all here because we're all passionate about the blockchain space, and we're all here for the same reason. So I'm really going to get right into it. So what exactly is MetaMask? So I'm sure there's a few presenters that have already kind of taken you through actually using MetaMask, but I want to kind of take a step back for a bit. So MetaMask is really considered a non-custodial crypto wallet, which means that your end users have full control over their over their wallet and the assets that are inside of it. On Unlike Coinbase, well, that's changed recently, but effectively you're able to import and export your accounts. So you could effectively have your wallet live on multiple machines. And I think that's really one of the really powerful things that MetaMask has done. And they're pretty much one of the most popular crypto wallets out right now, outside of Coinbase, obviously. But MetaMask itself was created to securely connect the end users to EVM compatible blockchains. That includes Ethereum. So, what is an EVM compatible blockchain? I'm not going to get too deep into that, but EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine, which is the underlying operating system for Ethereum, for lack of a better term. And so, there are other blockchains that are actually compatible with MetaMask, as you've seen in the last demo. So, yeah, Polygon is one of them. There's a few other guys out there that are also compatible with this because they use the same API effectively. So the whole point of using a crypto wallet is in a practical sense, it's really for user authentication, specifically in decentralized applications, right? And this actually does play well with your existing Web 2.0 application. So it's not really an all or nothing type of scenario. There's just different workflows that you would go through. Sure, you could have just a straight up front end that directly connects to the blockchain. That is one very valid approach, and that's probably the most popular approach to this particular implementation. There's also an alternative approach to that, where if you're using a Web 2.0 application where you have an existing application. Sidebar, I also work at Festival Pass, which is a SaaS product, and we're actually going through this right now. And so I'm actually going through the process of doing what's going to be in these slides, which is incorporating MetaMask into an existing application. And so the flow for this will be something along the lines of, after you've probably already signed up, you can probably have a connect button inside of your account settings behind your authentication wall, where you could just connect your wallet that way. So you don't necessarily have to use it for user authentication. You could just have your traditional authentication as well as add Web3 functionality. So I just wanted to throw that out there just to kind of make you guys aware of that, because it's not an all or nothing thing here. So why should you guys care, right? Why does this space even matter? So one thing that I tell everyone that wants to know more about this is that the total market cap for cryptocurrency is about $1.69 trillion. If you're aware of what's been going on with all the money being printed over the pandemic, you're aware, you can conceptualize how much money $1 trillion is, right? And so the Ethereum blockchain itself, by itself, commands over $311 billion in assets. That's as of a few days ago. Liquidity could have gone up or down, but more or less, we're around $311 billion. And the opportunity around this is that there's a ton of people with a ton of money that are chasing too few things, right? There's too few goods and there's a lot of money. And so Adding MetaMask to your web application, that will give you the opportunity to tap into this growing field. And so your end users can interact with Web3 content such as NFTs, blockchain games such as Decentraland, which is literally a virtual real estate game where you can buy real estate on the blockchain. No lie. So as I mentioned before, MetaMask implementation, it does play nice with your existing Web 2.0 applications. And when I take you through this demo, I'm actually going to start off with a simple Create React app bootstrap. So we're going to start with that, and that can simulate, for lack of a better term, the environment in which you already have an existing web application. I'm sorry, my mouth is really dry, but effectively, this is a standard React application, and it has a TypeScript enabled. So I'm going to show you a quick diagram here, right? Just at a high level, what is happening under the hood. So on the left-hand side here, you are the end user. You interact with this decentralized application that then talks to your Ethereum wallet, which can be used to authenticate you. And you have to be authenticated for the blockchain before you can get to the fun stuff on the right-hand side. So smart contracts is one way to interact with the blockchain, and that's considered on-chain asset management. So you're managing assets that are on the blockchain. That makes sense, right? And then there's also off-chain distributed storage, which is known as the interplanetary file system. It's actually not on the blockchain, but it's more of a distributed storage. So think of your interplanetary file system, or IPFS, as your as a CDN, almost like Cloudinary or Dropbox or something like that. Is really for storage. So where do you put your images? Where do you put your videos, right? So there's also a decentralized way to interact with this. And of course, your decentralized application can still talk to a traditional centralized database as well. That does become necessary in a hybrid approach for some things. Everything you would not want to put everything on the blockchain, especially within the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm sure if you guys have been participating in the NFT space, sometimes gas prices can get a bit high. So writing to the blockchain like a traditional database, that really wouldn't be the way you would want to use the blockchain. And another really underutilized and under talked about aspect of this is really supply chain management. At the industrial level, the blockchain has enabled us to really we can verify whether a product is actually an organic product or not, because every step along the way, we can timestamp where this seed has been. It has gone to this facility at this time, all the way up until it gets to the grocery store. So you could very well, that is a very, very huge improvement. And I'm really looking forward to seeing additional. I'm looking forward to seeing that go mainstream. Really, I would like to scan a QR code and see that, hey, my lettuce is actually organic. But that's effectively this at a high level. And so, Mac, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to take the guys into the live coding demonstration, and hopefully everything works out. We'll see. All right, so
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it being live, B. That's what I love about it, because it's that's how you've never done a live presentation unless it's failed at least once. So that's so no worries there.
Exactly. And so if you wanted to follow along here, feel free. So there are some prerequisites. Make sure you already have the MetaMask browser extension installed on your computer. I'm sure most of you probably already have that in place. Also, make sure you check your Node.js version. Make sure you are at least version 14, and you can check that with Node-V. And we're also going to try installing Yarn globally. So on my machine, I'm not going to be using Yarn for this demonstration, simply because I'm having some technical difficulties. So for me, I'm going to have to remember to actually save my dependencies when I do npm install. So we'll see if I remember that this time, but let's get right into it. So we're going to actually use Create React App to bootstrap a vanilla JavaScript application. So we're starting from scratch here. All right. Go to my apps folder, paste that. We're just going to wait for it. I don't see if there are any comments. So Mag, just feel free if we have any downtime. If anybody has any questions along the way, I'm happy to answer any questions along the way. So.
No worries. No worries. You'll see them flash up on the screen. I think you'll see them.
Okay, perfect.
No worries.
Perfect. I'm just gonna wait for that. And as you see, I'm getting a lot of passive errors here. It's making me pretty nervous. So we're going to CD into our MetaMask demo folder. All right, we're gonna check. So we already have our package-lock file in there. So we don't have to do npm install anymore, which is good. So let's go down. So we're going to add some additional libraries. We're going to add the Chakra UI library as well as use dApp Core. I discovered that recently, and it actually drastically simplifies just Web3 integration in general. It's actually really cool. I just discovered it a few days ago. So I actually modified this presentation to include that. We don't have to necessarily go straight to Infura right now, but I don't want to digress, but we'll get right into it. So we're going to do npm install. I have to make sure I save. And wait for those to install here. Version. I'm at 15, which is good. So I'm actually on Apple Silicon right now. So yeah, that's something you have to actually be mindful of as well. So we're just going, so to speed this up, I know we don't have a ton of time left. I know this is over at 6:55, but it's going to be quite a long demonstration here. So let's just copy this block of code here into our main index file. So first, actually, I think this is an outdated folder. Let me remove that and add it back just to make sure we don't have any weird anomalies occurring here. Okay, now we're back. So in our source folder, we're going to go to index.tsx and we're just going to replace that. If you notice, we have our dApp provider coming from use dApp core, and we are actually wrapping that around our app component, which is the main app here. So, and the reason why I'm copying the code blocks in this particular fashion is just for speed for the most part, right? So inside of the source folder, we're going to create a new folder called components. So let's do that. I'm going to go back to our terminal here. Source, directory, components. We're going to cd into components, if I can spell it correctly. All right, now we're going to create a file called layout.tsx. We're going to touch layout.tsx. And when you create a new file, you should see it show up in your IDE, and we do. Oh, whoops, I went backwards. Okay, forward motion. All right, so we're just going to copy this code block here and populate our layout.tsx file. Now, what this is this is effectively a parent. This is a page wrapper. This is what I like to call it, where when you're navigating between pages, this is actually a pass-through component a passive component where you can actually display additional components inside of this. So you can have global styling, global settings, no matter what happens. So that's why this is in place. Let's make sure we actually save all of our files. All right, so next we're going to actually modify our app.tsx, right? So let's look at it before we modify it, just to see what we're actually doing here. So this is straight from Create React App, remember that. So this is exactly what comes from Facebook. So we're just going to replace that here with our Chakra provider, and our layout component as well as just some dummy text for now. So just like I said, for speed, we're just going to copy this whole block of code here. We're just going to overwrite this entire component, save that. Now, obviously, I need to, now our chocolate provider is not showing up. So there we go. There's an error here. So let's see what we can do. I have to look at my dependency. I'm glad I actually saved it. And if something happens here, we do have the ability to, oops, sorry. We do actually have the ability to, yeah, all right, so that did recognize it. But we do have the other, we do have the complete code sample that is in the Git repo, but I'm just doing it without the repo just so we can go through the motion and build this from scratch effectively. So we're going to save that file. All right, so now we're going to create our infamous connect to wallet button. All right, so inside the components folder, we're going to create a new file called connectbutton.tsx. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this here. We're going to go back to our terminal, see what's in there. All right, touch connectbutton.tsx. Verify that was created correctly. All right, now we're just going to go ahead and paste this block of code there. All right, so what this is doing, and this is actually a pretty important part here. So the use dap core, that we're actually using the Ethers convenience package, which is a library that enables us to quickly, efficiently, and effectively connect to the blockchain effectively. So as you see, we have some destructured variables here. We have our activate browser wallet and we have account. So once you are authenticated, this is a super easy way to just quickly get your account balance and get everything, your wallet address and all of that. So it really drastically simplifies the process. I'm completely mind blown. All right, and also the button, we have a handle connect button, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we're still going to just save this for now. All right, so let's actually see, what's showing up on the page for now, right? Oops, sorry, I went backwards again. I'm actually going to run it for now just to see where we're at. npm start. It's still low. So this is the previous version is actually going to update. All right, good. So we're actually, I actually jumped the gun here. That's a little too soon. So we're actually not finished combining everything that we need here. So that's good. Live code, live demo, guys. All right, that is successfully compiled. All right. Next, let me make sure. I'm actually going to double check to make sure I actually copied everything over. Yeah, there's a bit more to do. All right. Actually, 1 second. I may have actually left out a step for you guys, but we'll get to that. Let me just try to quickly diagnose. So I'm actually glad we do have time so you can watch me diagnose this. All right. Components, layout, chocolate provider, layout. Let's see here. What is going on here? Let's check our index. That is coming from the correct place. It should be coming from the correct place. Let's check our error log here. There's something going on here, but that's fine. We'll work through it. Worst case scenario, we do have the other repo. Let's see if I'm missing anything here. Oh, obviously, well, obviously that makes sense. Let me just make sure this is correct. Our chakra provider, that should be already in place. Oh, okay. So remember when I told you guys that this dependency was never saved correctly? So that's actually a bug here. So let me quickly fix that. I'm gonna go back to the app.tsx file. See, now you see this right here. It's actually coming from the incorrect library. See this inconsistency? So don't run just yet. All right, so we should still see some dummy text. Oh, we have to wait for it to finish loading. Oh, actually, npm start. Okay, we're back. Live debugging. All right, so this is what we're actually supposed to be seeing right now at Hello World. So next, we're actually going to replace this with our button component. Let's see here. Connect button. Oops. Okay. All right, so we're back. So that is our button, and we're back on track. This should not be quite functional. Actually, this may be functional. Let's see if it does anything right now. All right, so right now our values are just stringified, but yeah, we're in there. Oh, and this is not real Ethereum. Please do not rob me. This is not real. This is the Ropsten test network. It's not real Ethereum. All right, so let's continue with our tutorial here. So let's add some additional styling. We're going to add import format ether. So what we're trying to accomplish here, we're actually going to make this look a bit prettier for us. Let's exit out of there. Have to find the correct component here. Let's see. And this is why we should use Yarn. This is it automatically takes care of a lot of these dependencies here. All right. All right, so something is definitely happening here, but we will work through it together. We're actually going to replace this box component here. All right. Now, for some reason, this dependency is causing some problems, but we'll get to that. Yeah, that's not correct. Yeah, so I believe something is happening. So my node version is correct. So there are some really interesting issues that happens with Apple Silicon, and I should have done this on this MacBook beforehand, but we're gonna work through it together. All right. All right, so this particular dependency is not installing correctly. All right, so in this situation, this is what I usually do. Oh, actually, I think I'm missing. That should fix that. There we go. See, sometimes it's as simple as as a quote, single quotes. All right, so now this is being displayed properly. It looks pretty. It's good. It's centered on the page, right? All right, so let's continue. Oh yeah, that's right. So to speed up the process, I know I gotta get through this demo on time. So let us just copy this entire code block. Also, now is a good time for you to grab some test ether just to, have something in your account balance other than, zero. But look at there. All right, we're just gonna replace this. So this is what your code should look like now. Once again, I'm pasting these large code blocks simply because it just takes so much time to get through all of the steps. All right, so now let's see what our updated component looks like. All right. All right, this is exactly what we should be seeing here. So the additional styling that we just pasted, that created this effect here, and we're going to build this portion of the button out now. All right. Now we're going to add one of my new favorite dependencies, MetaMask Jazz Icon. So MetaMask Jazz Icon is actually this cool little icon you see here on the right-hand side. So we're going to actually use the exact same thing that they're using. All right, npm save, which is very, very important. Okay. All right, so now we're going to create a new component called indentIcon.tsx. So we're going to do our command touch indentIcon.tsx, and we're going to do that inside of our source/components folder. All right, let's confirm that it's been created. It has. All right, we have an empty file. So now we're just going to paste this code block inside just to keep things moving along nicely here. All right, so this definitely should, we just imported this, so this should actually be working, but we can reinstall it just in case. Okay, that should be there. So we will figure out exactly why this is happening. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're actually jumping the gun here. So this is actually a TypeScript validation error. Everyone will run into this exact same problem. So there is a workaround that I accounted for in this. So Create React App has environment variable TS file where we're just going to quickly copy this code block here, and it's going to fix this dependency for us. Oops. All right, so let's find React-app-environment. We're just going to paste that there, and that should fix that problem. Yep, we're good. All right. Now let's see where we're at. Let's see if anything's changed. We should have. Oh, okay. All right. So we've created it, but it's not being displayed just yet. So we have to create the account modal, which is the next step, in order for us to see that displayed. All right, so we're going to create a new file called accountmodal.tsx. We're going to add that inside of our components folder. So go back to your terminal. Components. And just for speed, once again, we're just going to copy and paste. Now, this is effectively a modal with the disconnect button and your account information. So just for speed, we're just not going to type all of that by hand. So we have to stay on track. So as you see, we're having another issue here with the dependency. Chakra UI icons. So now that this is, we just have to simply install this new dependency. So let's make sure that we do that. And once again, when you use Yarn, it makes things a lot easier for you. All right, that is resolved. All right, so now we have a few other errors here, but what we're gonna get to these particular props here. and we're actually going to get to this a bit later. All right, so that's right. We have to update our app.tsx file now. So we're going to just copy this line and add it to our app.tsx file. I like to group dependencies together, if that makes sense. Oh, I'm sorry, I already have this in place. So I'm just going to update the dependency we already have. That would be bad if we double import it. It would not build. All right. That's right. So now we are going to utilize the dependency we just added, which is use disclosure. So what this is doing, this is helping us to kind of reuse the same functionality to open and close our modal. If we didn't have that, it would be pretty problematic. Just kind of, the saying is do not repeat yourself or dry. That's one of the acronyms we use. So let's go ahead and add that here, be structured. All right, make sure that we have everything in place. So our layout component has the connect button, and we also have to add our handle open modal. Now that we've added the ability to open and close the modal. Oops. Now the props here are going to be a little strange for now, but in the following steps, we're actually going to resolve these particular issues. So because this is TypeScript, it actually, like, you just have to explicitly type your props. So that's the only thing that's happening here. We're still on track. Let me make sure that our account modal is actually being imported properly. All right, now that's handled. All right. So like I said before, we're going to go back to our connect button component, and we're going to actually we're going to type our props here. This is one of the cool things about TypeScript that I actually do enjoy. Oops, wrong component. So this goes after your imports and before your declaration of your function. All right. And so in our handle open modal prop, this is actually going to accept a function. And so in order to accept the function, this is actually how we designate that. We just declare an empty function and we point it to void. Otherwise, I mean, sure, most people will probably just, use any to cheat. We don't want to cheat. We want to actually do it the right way. So this is the proper way to go about it. All right. And now remember how we had our on click that wasn't registering properly? Let's actually double check on that in the button component. Let me make sure. Yeah, so we're going to just add that back right here. All right, now if you notice, there's still an error right here, and that's because we have to define our props. Oops. Now that error should go away. See? All right, let us continue. All right, so now we're gonna quickly, just to make sure that everything is up to date for brevity, let's just go ahead and rewrite everything. We're just gonna copy and paste this whole block just to make sure that everything is in place and I didn't accidentally delete anything, but it should be fine. But just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just gonna copy and paste the entire block just to make sure that everything is accounted for here, just because we're moving in haste. And it's exactly the same, which is good. Okay. So now we're going to go and do the same thing for our account modal.tsx file. So for speed, I'm just going to quickly copy this code block here. Once again, these go below your imports and above where you define your account modal function. And once again, this is accepting a function when you pass the prop in, and then is open is obviously going to be a Boolean. So we just have to explicitly make sure that we are defining those. Just going to quickly copy our arguments. These are pasted right here. And so now these are all satisfied. So when we pass is open or on close, our modal will open and close consistently every single time. So let's just save that file. All right, so now we're going to add our, so what we need to do, we need to have a way to actually disconnect from the application, right? We need to disconnect our wallet from the distributed application. So we're going to copy this function here that does exactly that. All right, and we've already defined that here. So this is our disconnect button. Let's go ahead and save. All right. This looks exactly right, but I'm still going to just go ahead and copy this code block just to make sure that we didn't do anything weird here. So it makes debugging a lot easier. All right, so let's see where we're at right now. All right, so we're still, let's actually connect the wallet. All right, and so now we see our wallet, an abbreviated wallet address. We see our account balance, and we have the modal that we just created. Right now, copy address is just HTML right now. That's not fully functional, but if you are able to view this in the Explorer, so you can view this in the Ropstein etherscan.io. So that's pretty standard. And if you want to disconnect, boom. And so that is effectively the conclusion of this demo. And I did want to make a note. So it's not really possible, according to my knowledge, it's not actually possible to truly disconnect your MetaMask wallet from a site initiated on the code side. It is a known issue with MetaMask. I'm not sure if it has been resolved or fixed already, but if you just go to the repo, you can actually click and look at the documentation for that for yourself. But in order to truly disconnect from a distributed application, you have to actually go and initiate it from inside of MetaMask itself. And yeah, you can look at the documentation on like how to like properly do that. But just yeah, I'll just, I guess I'll just briefly do this for you guys. It's as simple as just connect this account, boom, and now there's no longer any record of you being there. Yeah, and so that concludes my demo. Obviously, if you don't want to follow along with all of that, you can just download the completed repo and use that as a springboard in order to incorporate MetaMask into your own applications. There are other wallets outside of MetaMask. I'm sure you're aware of that. Another good option is Wallet Connect, which is something I'm really excited about. You can have them side by side where if we had more time, we would actually be able to set it up where you click this button once. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to actually click it, but you click that button and another modal pops up where you can decide, oh, I want to integrate using MetaMask, or I can select the Wallet Connect option. It's just, or Coinbase. It really, I think that is the new UX that I'm seeing that really makes a distributed application a lot more accessible to just more wallets, because like MetaMask is not the end all be all, but because that's the topic of this discussion, we're just going to focus on MetaMask. But I did want to, I mentioned that because even inside of Wallet Connect, you can actually include MetaMask inside of Wallet Connect as well. So I said that to say there are multiple ways to incorporate a wallet, and ethers.js, which is the underlying helper library that we use, that seems to be the most popular one right now in terms of trending. It does make things a lot easier than using the traditional Web3 JS package. It's also more friendly with React Native as well. React Native handling wallet integration with React Native, which is a mobile framework, is actually really difficult. So I'm glad that Ethers.js is actually making that a lot easier for us. But yes, I'm actually interested in hearing about any specific questions that anyone has, high level or technical, it doesn't matter. So I'll open up the floor for comments.
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
No
So,
problem.
no, great. So we'll leave it open for a minute. Let people think about it.
Sure,
If they have questions.
sure.
Little. It's actually great. So I'm pretty sure this has been a long day for people. So people are probably like, "Thank you for
Right.
like finishing early." But this is a couple of house cleaning things. If you register for the workshop tomorrow, you'll receive a link that'll allow you to access the workshop via email tonight. Okay, so just don't worry, you will get that link tonight, and then that will what you use to access the Hopped In event tomorrow. But B, like this is dope. So like and I know when we talked about this and doing this, I know you were probably like, Mac, I've never set this up before. So and going through this exercise, and it just so happened that your job probably at the same time said, "Hey, we were thinking about doing this," so it just kind of worked out, right?
Exactly.
Um, yeah, I mean, I know, like what did you find the most challenging around this whole thing? Because you're using some new libraries, some new. I mean, the
Mhm.
basis is JavaScript, but
Yeah,
there's new libraries.
yeah, yeah,
The libraries are a little funky, right? Because they're a little
yeah,
different how they work and all that
yeah,
good stuff.
yeah.
So what was like one of the things that you found most difficult to kind of understand, or gave you the biggest challenge?
That's a really good question. So the biggest challenge is that there's not a lot of consistent documentation um, with respect to all the tools. There's a lot of different tools that do the same thing. This tool does 80% of what you need. This other library does, 50%. And so that's really that's really the challenge. A lot of documentation isn't really the best, just being completely transparent. So there's a lot of just debugging, figuring things out. I literally beat my head against the wall, proverbially speaking, dealing with React Native. Like mobile is very difficult until you find the correct tools to integrate this with. So there's different ways you would approach it. Not saying that it's impossible, but it's just the tool that you're using and the use case that you're building for really determines like what strategy or what method you're going to use. So you just have to be flexible, think on your feet, and just just work with what the code is giving you.
I
It's an
think one of the
organism.
things, yeah, one of the things I found is that, I mean, and I'm not getting too wrapped around the axle around, like, MetaMask and all that good stuff, because we all know we're really early.
Yeah.
We all remember MySpace, and MySpace got basically, it doesn't really exist anymore. I don't even think it exists. But obviously, Facebook, Instagram, which so happen to be owned basically by Meta.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
so we know there's going to be some consolidation in this market. But like one of the things we've been talking about here is that we
Mhm.
know the concepts are still going to stay the same. We know
Absolutely.
that there's going to be probably a test network, and we know the test networks aren't really. It's not really too different of a concept. We all know, like at PayPal, we want to do testing. There's a sandbox you use. So I think
Exactly.
there's just going to be things that we just so there's going to be some similar some concepts from Web 2.0 that we bring to
Mhm.
Web 3, but we're interacting with now this central data store. So here's the funny thing for me: how I learned about things around like dealing with Ethereum is
Mhm.
that my whole idea was like, because I'm into telephony. So one of the things I was like, you know what, I'm going to have like all the phone numbers that's on a do not call list in a blockchain, and you find out right away that, oh my God, this is very expensive to
Yes.
interact with the blockchain. And on top of that, the blockchain is not very fast. I mean,
Nah.
just like, I mean, it can't
Ethereum.
be. Yeah, like Ethereum. To be explicit, the Ethereum blockchain is very, very slow, right? So at first I was trying to think of it using it as a database. So I think what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say here is that you know I think people should go try doing the example you just did,
Yeah.
because that'll give them a deeper understanding of like maybe what their thought was and how things work
Hmm.
on how they really do work. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Yeah. So
exactly.
that's my thought at least.
Yeah.
Um, any other questions? That's probably people are probably tired. Probably like, man, this is a long day. If there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up for the day. Brian, thank you very much. I'm gonna do a couple of house cleaning things and
Of
then
course.
go from there, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, guys.